for tenants of Cartrefi Conway across North Wales, but the actual way we build it's quite innovative as well, in that the whole concept's about providing employment opportunities for tenants also. Are those slides moving? I've gone to the next slide. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Just a little bit about who we are. For those of you who have not heard of Cartrefi or Creating Enterprise, we are the largest landlord in the county of Conway. We have a stock profile of circa 4,000 homes, mixed tenure, and we do have a very ambitious development plan, as do many social landlords now across Wales, to build about 1,000 homes over the next 10 years. Creating Enterprise is the wholly owned subsidiary of Cartrefi. Creating Enterprise has been really, it's been a huge success to date. We created the company in 2015, and we're very proud to state that only just last year, the end of last year, through the Fast Growth 50 Awards, we're officially now the fastest growing company out of any sector in the whole of Wales, providing a range of property maintenance and construction services, not just to Cartrefi Conway, but to various other sectors, and then recycling this surpluses that we make for social good. And the social good that we really emphasize and try to drive forward is creating work opportunities for those furthest from the job market. We're now employing over 70 colleagues within the business with a plan, an order book of over £55 million worth of work just over the next 5 years. And we introduced our modular solutions arm in 2018, of which I want to just discuss and present to you today. So Creating Enterprise Modular Solutions, what is this? And in effect, it's a partnership agreement we have with BT Passive Build System. We have the exclusive license to build this system across North Wales. So we have bought into a license, but the whole purpose is a self-build model. So we employ local labour. We've upskilled our own colleagues within Cartrefi Conway Creating Enterprise, but also give opportunities for tenants to come into the business on paid employment to build these homes moving forward. So in effect, why did we build? Why are we building this product? Well, it is within Welsh Government's ambitions to build zero carbon homes, exactly what this product gives us. But it's Cartrefi Conway's aims as well to not only build quality homes which are cheap to run thereafter for our tenants, but also utilising tenants to build these homes as well. That is our vision, and that's what we are already achieving and want to continue to strive forward to achieve over the next or the coming years. So real super energy efficient homes, reducing costs, very healthy homes to live in, and what we do like about the product as well, we do see these as real lifetime homes. There's no load bearing walls within the home, so in terms of development quality requirements or homes that can be fully adaptable moving forward, we've got the solution here. Very fast, efficient construction process, and I will keep re-emphasising throughout this presentation, it's a self-build model that we believe gives the opportunity to bring those who are maybe not skilled in joinery or not skilled in manufacturing, to give them the ability to come into the business and learn these skills, because it is quite simple the way we build this model. And for any financial people in the room or want to know, is this product fit for purpose in terms of council and mortgage lenders, etc., then yes, it is. What we've got is a fully warranted system, which is LABC approved, fully mortgageable, and what we're promoting and really driving forward is the use of sustainable material all the way through this, and local material as well. So the whole concept is we buy local, we build local, and we use local labour to produce these homes. I've got a couple of slides here, which I'm not going to go through all the detail, but if anyone wants to have a copy of this presentation thereafter, I know it'll be widely available, but what I have put in is some of the technical aspects of the build, which it's all here in black and white, but really my focus today is just to give a general overview of Creating Enterprise and why we're building this property, who we're trying to house within this property, and the fact that it really is aimed at our tenants of Cartrefi Conway to not only build the product, but then to live very comfortably in these properties thereafter. So these are part of the presentation pack. As I said, I'm not going to go through it all in detail, but it's there for anyone who wishes to see the technicality specifications thereafter. In terms of the design, what can we build? Anything. We can build any design to any specification or any architect's specification that is out there. So from what we have been building is 1-bedroom pods for homeless accommodation, all the way up to 3-4 bedroom homes, and there's been certain areas. We haven't built all of these homes ourselves, but these are the types of products you can build. Very, very flexible in the design, which so we're not just harnessed to maybe 3 or 4 house types, which some modular products are these days. Just to give you an example of some of the stuff that we have done and the clients that we are working for. This is a scheme up in Holyhead, Miser Ruskell, where we've built 4 one-bedroom sheltered bungalows for the elderly. The client here was Anglesey County Council, so not Cartrefi Conway, not Creating Enterprise. So as I said, we have a range of different clients, and we've successfully completed these 4 units. And over the next 12 months now, working with the tenants of Ynysmore and Anglesey Council to make sure that we're gathering all of the data we can so we're doing what it says on the tin, in effect. Just to give you an idea of how we build these homes, in essence, what we are building is a timber frame home using predominantly Welsh timber. The timber frames are done in a factory environment, and then they're taken to a site, and then they're erected on site very, very quickly. And again, as I mentioned earlier, to any design. Our factory for the first 18 months was based in Anglesey. It was based in Holyhead. On the bottom right here, you can see the unit that we were working from. We're actually going to be relocating more to sort of central North Wales in the coming weeks and operating out of Rhyl, but also serving the whole North Wales community. But yeah, in essence, timber frame product to a passive house standard, which is a very high energy efficient standard in house building concept. Another scheme that we've recently completed, and I've got a short video clip I'd like to share with you all just in a second, is the Sefton Road scheme in Old Colwyn. This is a scheme that we've developed alongside our local authority, Conway County Borough Council, developing 8 one-bed units for homeless accommodation. This has been now completed. All residents are now and tenants are living in these units, and it's been a huge success. And this was an old garage site which we knocked down and then built these 8 units for much needed accommodation in the Old Colwyn area. I'd like to now, if it all works, and here we go. This is the never mind building homes. I think this is the hard bit, getting a video to work. It's only 3 minutes long. Bear with me for the first 10-15 seconds. The sound's not great, but I can assure you all it does kick in. And what this video is going to explain is off our lead trade, Bryn Jones, who looks after our modular team. He's just going to give the background of this project. It was done at the back end of last year, but it shows that the property is being built, and I'm pleased to say these are now all being built, and we've got the tenants living in these. So I'm just going to share this now with you all.
Hi, I'm Bryn Jones, Lead Trade Technician for Creating Enterprise Modular Solutions. Here we are at Osefton Road, Oaklewin, where it used to be an old garage site, where we are now building 8 passive standard homes for the homeless. As you can see, this is work in progress. We're due to complete in November this year. We are currently completing utilities and groundworks outside, then we'll be wrapping the home in timber cladding and building verandas on the front of each home. The benefits of living in one of these big passive homes is the energy efficiency. This home will cost about £40 a year to heat, but it comes with triple glazed windows, airtight windows as well. Comes with 0.11 value in the wall and 0.06 in the floor. That gives you a house that heats up for about £40 a year. It comes with an MVHR system in the cupboard which exchanges the air 4 times an hour, puts the air through 3 filters, which is dust, pollen and pollution, gives you a clean air environment to live in. It helps people with respiratory illnesses and also asthma. It also comes with the benefits with the triple glazing, the sound deadening. So what you hear outside does not come inside, so it gives you a nice quiet area to live in. Even if you're next to a busy road or a busy train station, the noise does not travel in through the walls. This is the construction of our walls. We have a 300 stick which creates our external walls. Our internal party wall is 1-for-1, doubled up. This section of wall gives us 2-hour fire protection, with a double party wall gives us 4-hour protection between dwellings. This is gained by using white wall boards inside outside, which is a moisture resistant fireboard. Once the boards are on internally and externally, we then drill holes and pump in the EcoBead. EcoBead is a high energy efficiency. It is created from old oil, which is passed through high steam, which creates the polystyrene balls that we've been injecting in the walls. This also stops fan transfer between walls as well. Once we've poured it and filled it with bead, we then wrap it internally with internal membrane, which makes the house airtight. This keeps the air inside the house and external separate. That is then controlled by the MVHR system, which gives you the clean air environment within the home. As you can see, it's a very spacious 1-bedroom home with a bathroom there behind me, a very spacious kitchen and a very spacious bedroom behind you there. Another benefit of the system is the ease of construction. We give an opportunity to local unemployed people to come in and gain life experience and get work experience in erecting these properties. We are currently employing 4 trainees from the Anglesey area where we've been building other houses, and it opens an opportunity for any people from any area who are unemployed to gain the life skills required and hopefully maybe one day become part of our team.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully you're able to hear that. Okay, so if here we go, push it. How I get out of this now, I do not know. Can you hear me, David, again?
Yep, I can hear you fine. You need to just stop sharing, that's all.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So yeah, I'm pleased to say as well, from the 4 trainees we had there, we've now employed one of them full time into the business, which is great news for us and great news for that previously unemployed tenant who is now working within the team and an integral part of it, where we've got a large order book building these homes moving forward. So I'm just coming to the end of the presentation now. Just bear with me. I just want to end up really on the business plan itself. It keeps wanting to go back to this video. Apologies. I'll have to just talk you through this video. I don't know why it's going back to that one. Apologies for that. But the business plan moving forward now is predicated on employing local people and being able to sell this product in effect to the North Wales market, to housing associations, local authorities and private developers as well. And we're pleased to say that we've already built 25 of these homes, with the intention now as well and an order book in place to build another 100 homes this year. And we have a business plan provision to build 350 of these homes over the next 5 years. So not just building these quality homes for people in need, but also the amount of jobs that we can create in the near future. I think it's quite an exciting opportunity, not just for us, but for tenants of Cartrefi Conway as well. So I'm conscious of time. I could go on a long time about this. I'm quite passionate about it, and I think it's something we're very proud of. It's great that we've got our board member Bill Hunt here today, casting an eye over myself and being able to really promote this from TPAS perspective as well. I think it's fantastic. And from that perspective, David, Elizabeth, I'll conclude my presentation. Apologies why it wouldn't go back. I'm not so sure. I'm not the best on IT at times, but I'll conclude the presentation and take any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. I'm back in. We wouldn't be a digital conference week if we didn't have any digital issues, would it? So thank you all for bearing with us on that, and thank you so much, Adrian, for that presentation. It really is so heartwarming to see that all these people are going into the properties, but also the fact that you're employing people who have not had those skills before. It's just the dream, really, isn't it? I think it's, definitely best practice among what can happen amongst the sector. I'm going to let David speak a minute because I know how passionate he is about this. So I'm just going to hand over to him and let him.
Yeah, I mean, this issue of these passive houses, modular, is superb. It's superb. There was Yvonne asked a question in the panel, and I had it written down as well, which was, where does the wood come from? We talked about more sustainable sources of using Welsh timber. Just, I think out of curiosity, we wonder where it came from. I think myself and Yvonne were aligned on that.
Yeah, no problem. It's a good question, and as much material as we can, we're sourcing this as locally as possible. And we've done a lot of work alongside Wood Knowledge Wales to begin with, but then also sourcing as much locally from Welsh timber as we can. So we've been working with Pontrialis in South Wales and BSW especially as well, to try and source the right grade of timber for these homes. So it requires, for technicality terms, what's called a C16 structural graded timber, and we've put a supply chain in place through BSW and our material providers, Travis Perkins, to make sure that 70% of the timber that we are building in these homes will be coming from Wales.
Okay. We've also got a couple of questions then from Tracy about noise insulation on multiple level properties. I know from my experience, having been in one of them at CIH, the sound insulation was incredible, but maybe could you just expand a bit more on the technicalities or how it works?
No problem. And the information's there on the slides for you to be able to read thereafter. I know the question on fire as well. One of the benefits of this system is that it far surpasses building control standards of the modern new build development. So, for example, the sound insulation is 20-30% more than what you get in a traditional new build today, and the fire regulations, when we put the warranties together, they far outweigh what is required with regards to modern day building standards as well. Twice as much fire protection in this home as you would do in a standard new build home today. And it does, words are quite cheap there, really. I think once you go into these homes and you actually see some of the homes that we've been building, and we have shown the prototype when we were in Cardiff, in CIH Cardiff, and we went up to Manchester as well to show off the product. I don't think people could believe by just when you close the door, the insulation from the outside is fabulous. It really is. And for us, especially in flatted accommodation, 3-4 story, you can build these homes actually without any other material up to 4-story high. I think the sound insulation will really benefit tenants moving forward.
That's brilliant. I think you must have been able to see the questions on the side. So you've answered my questions as we've been going along about fire safety, stories, the timber. That's brilliant. Thanks very much.
I was wondering actually what the eco beads are made out of. Just a random question, but yeah, I wondered what they're made out of. Is it polystyrene, did you say?
Oil, wasn't it?
Yeah, oil. So it is. I will say it is part of the build process. What we're actually working with University of Bangor as we speak to look at different types of product that we can insulate this home with. But at the moment, it's a recycled product, but it is petroleum based at its core. That's something that going forward we'd like to have a more natural type insulation product. However, this product, being a passive house product, so a very well energy efficient product, is a zero carbon net zero carbon product as well. But again, our emphasis, the quality had to be there. It had to be a net zero product. It had to ensure low running costs for our tenants. But what really sold it for us is the fact that we build this ourselves. We're not buying it in containers over the border or buying it in from huge national contractors. We're building this using our own trades in Trevi Conway Creating Enterprise. We're now employing locally, and we'll continue to do that moving forward. And
which is really fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the USP really, Elizabeth.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just one final question for me, but we have got one other question in the chat box. I was just wondering, it might be my own naivety actually, but do these homes have to meet space standards, the same space standards that new builds would meet?
Yeah, for any home where we're attracting any social housing grants or we're building affordable homes, our policy in Trevi and really a directive from Welsh Government is that it will meet development quality requirements. And these homes are, I said in the presentation, very flexible in the design and meet any type of standard, space standard that is required by the clients. But as a minimum, we meet DQR. As a minimum, obviously, we have to meet building regulations, but we far surpass that with the outputs what this product actually gives.
Thanks. And then just one final question in the chat box. It says being airtight would make it energy efficient, but what happens when the weather is hot?
Very simply, just like any other home, you just open the windows. It's as simple as that. What we're actually built is a very airtight building, which means that when you do heat the home, if you need to heat the home, then it provides minimal heat loss. But in the summer, when you don't need to heat the home and you want fresh air coming through the building, I think it's a bit of a myth in passive house that it's so airtight you've got no ventilation. That isn't really the case, and we've worked obviously with designers, etc., to come up with this solution, which you open the windows, open the doors, and enjoy the comfort of this house like any other home. But when it is cold, very cold, you don't need a lot of energy to heat these homes, and then the ventilation's done through what's called the MVHR system, which has to be situated in every single one of these homes.
I think when they said in the video £40 a year, like my face just went like, oh, I think everybody could see me so surprised at how cheap that is. Like, it's crazy, isn't it?
We do emphasize, I think maybe some of the sales pitch, we got quite excited when we first bought this product in, and we were saying energy bills will be, that the heating bills themselves will be reduced to £40 on these smaller homes, up to no more than £100 to heat a 3-bedroom home over the course of the year.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, Adrian, for that. And we can do another Q&A at the end if we have time, but I'm going to bring Grant on now because I'm aware that he got pushed out a little bit because of my terrible digital skills. So welcome, Grant. And
Elizabeth, It wasn't your skills, it was Zoom crashing on me, so nobody to blame other than Zoom.
Crashed on me too, darn you, Zoom.
Thanks. Thank you for having me. Thank you to TPAS for inviting me to this. It's a real privilege to be here and speak to you, lovely people. I will share my screen, which won't cause me any technical issues whatsoever, and we can go from there. So just bear with me. Okay, so you should see my screen. I work for Wales and West. We are a large housing association based across the whole of Wales. We're delivering between, at the moment, 250 to 300 new houses every single year. My job is to make sure that we deliver those homes, and they're hopefully right for our residents. So going from a bit of land right through to getting people into their homes and making sure they're okay. So we manage 12,500 properties at the moment, and hopefully increasing that, obviously. And I think, just to be really clear, I think Wales and West, and I think a lot of housing associations now, it's a bit of a cliche, but the resident is at the centre of it. But we're a thing called a systems thinking organisation, which means that a lot of our decision making comes from what matters to the residents, what's the most important thing for the residents, why every single decision, from the very strategic high level decisions right down to what kind of should you be putting on people's properties. It comes down to what's the right thing for our residents. And if it costs a bit more, then it costs a little bit more. But it's the right thing to do going forward. So that's the kind of approach that we take as an organisation. And I think as a culture, it works really well. And I love my job as a result. So I don't have to worry too much about money. Well, I do, but not maybe not as much as other jobs. So what are our challenges? So we've got 4 challenges, and in 2015, when we started looking at this, there was 4 challenges that we were trying to face as an organisation on new build. So we wanted to create houses that were, obviously we were having issues with lots of people on with fuel poverty and with poor living conditions, properties which are not that great to live in, not great conditions because of the properties that we have. We found in 2016 that there was something around approximately 27% of social housing residents were living in fuel poverty, and we knew that was going to get worse because of energy bills continuing to increase, gas bills, electricity bills constantly increasing. I'm probably telling you what you already know, so just to run through. But we know that the people on the lowest incomes are going to be most heavily affected as these fuel bills increase. So we wanted to find a way to be able to reduce them. And the project I'm going to be talking to you about today, that was the main task, was to try and reduce this down as much as possible. What matters to the resident again? It's about making sure that these homes are truly affordable, and not just in the rent, but also in how they actually run and how they operate. So they are truly affordable. Having these increased heating bills and electricity bills, it does add stress, financial stress, and there's we have that can contribute to mental health issues, and it can also create, because you start switching off the heat, because you start using less heat, it can create poor environments that can create physical problems as well, physical health issues. So something we really wanted to sort out. The second issue we had is that there was a lot of political pressure coming in 2015, and as we all know, there's massive political pressure now, and environmental pressure and social pressure for us to do something about the environment and to kind of hit this climate emergency. So at that point, we were thinking we have to start focusing on how we're going to build new properties in going forward to meet these aspirations of low carbon or zero carbon. The third thing was, we've done this before. There's lots of technology out there before which we've talked about and used for years. The problem is that we've had problems where the heating systems haven't always worked as we expected them to. And there's been multiple reasons as a result of that. But we've been using some of these systems for 10, 15 years. And there's been some negative impacts on and expectations on what actually they can do. And we really wanted to set the bar and going, if we design it correctly and if we do this properly, we can get this right and use the technologies that we already are using, and making sure, more importantly, that again, that they're comfortable for the resident and they're easy to use. So the fourth thing was internal, really. So our maintenance teams, again, are really worried about what we're doing. Me as this, we're going out and we're going to build something brand new, something you've never seen before, and we're going to go and, you're going to have to manage it for the next 60 years. So good luck, guys. So there's an internal thing of how are we going to manage these? How are we going to maintain these? So we wanted to make sure that we had, and that using this concept and this scheme that I'm going to show you, a bit of trying to work out how we can do that going forward and make sure that our maintenance teams are on board with this and we're building things that people can maintain, and therefore we don't have problems in the future. We've actually got a scheme in St Albans in Cardiff, next to the airport, next to Cardiff Airport, where we put air source heat pumps into these. It must have been about 8 years ago. Within 2 years, we had ripped every single one of those out and put in gas boilers. Why? Because we couldn't maintain them. Because we couldn't. We weren't. I don't think they were designed. They were potentially not installed correctly. They weren't installed in the right houses. And actually our maintenance teams, were they up to speed with how they can actually maintain these and look after them? I'm not sure if they were at that point in time. So there's a lot of things we've learned in the past, and I think we're at a point now where we have to start pushing this forward. So in 2016, we found a thing called the Solster House. Now, the Solster House was a prototype house that was built by Cardiff University. Here it is right in front of you. And we really liked it. We really liked the concept of it because it hit lots of those challenges that we had. I showed my last slide. Those last slides, it showed that it was providing very low fuel efficiency. It was low carbon, wasn't zero carbon, it was low carbon. It was from the prototype that has been built, which is what the photo is showing. It was very easy to run, to heat, to maintain, and it was very easy to maintain. The systems that were in there were very simple. So we really liked it. We thought this is the future in 2016. Why do we like it? So just to be on the more specifics, lots of PV on the roof, providing lots of generation of free electricity that the residents can use. But actually putting in a battery system, putting in a large battery that can then take that free energy that we're getting from the roof, putting it into the house that we can then the residents can use when they want, not when just the sun is shining, but whenever they want. So really handy to bring down those fuel bills, bring down those electricity bills. Also good for the environment. They also had large south-facing windows. So you can see in the picture, this is south-facing, large south-facing windows that brings in lots of natural daylight, lots of ventilation when you want to, and maximizes the solar gains that you're getting. So you can heat up the property in essence without, with just using the sun's energy. But we'll come to that later. And then finally, just a really, really energy efficient property. So the external walls, maybe not as energy efficient as the other one. Katevi Conway on the last one has definitely outdone us on this one. They've definitely got a better product, I'll be honest with you. But but really still very good energy efficient levels, and a very highly efficient heating system being put in there, which is a blown air heating system, which we'll come on to. So sounded like something out of Bullseye then, sorry. In 2016, we got, 2018, we managed to get some IHP funding, which is funding from the government that gave us more money to be able to deliver this, deliver a scheme of 14 properties in Bridgend. The site was based on the orientation. We wanted to have something that was south facing and that Wales and West actually owned the land. So it was easiest for us to start developing that. We utilised a bit of open space. It was a field before that was very underutilised, mainly just a few dog walkers were using it. So we're completely underutilised, and thought it would be best to develop that. So in 2019, we started construction, and you can see the top picture is the original CGI of the scheme. The bottom picture is a picture I took a couple of months ago of the scheme. So I'm just trying to show you. I think we've hit it. I think we've managed to actually get what we wanted out of this. So usually when you look at the CGIs of some of these new schemes, they maybe don't turn out to be that way. So I'm really happy to see that actually we've almost got a mirror image of what we were after. So so really happy to see that. And so what have we got? We've got what we wanted from that Solster house at Cardiff University. So we've got large amount of PV on the roof, very energy efficient walls, floors, ceilings. We've got large south-facing glazing, and we've got very energy efficient heating system and battery storage system in there. I'll come on to more of the detail just later. But I'll run through. So these we built 4 one-bedroom flats here. So we did this with a range of different types of property, just so that we could get an idea of exactly what to suit the needs of the local authority, but also to push that concept to make sure we can do this across a number of different housing types. So the flats that we've got are well proportioned. They're 52 square meters, so that's higher than what we should as a minimum standard. So our usual is. I think Cadogan's gonna kill me on this. Cadogan's here. Hi, Cadogan. I think it's 48, 45 square meters for a 1-bed flat. He can tell us later. He's better at this job than I am. So it was a bit larger, and the reason for that was because the heating system that we're using, the heating system itself, it actually hasn't just a boiler on the wall. This thing's the size of a fridge freezer. It's quite large, so we need to get around it. We need to find a store for it. So it's actually increased the square meterage a little bit as a result, by about 10%, which has increased our total construction costs as a result. But again, something for discussion. We got some 2-beds. We built 8 2-bedroom houses here. So again, well proportioned. We've been thinking about the residents again. These ones are 89 square meters. Again, larger again to allow for the battery storage for the heating for the heating system. On these, we've come up with a way of being able to allow for an easier conversion of the loft. We know that people want to stay in these properties. We know that people will want to join a community and stay in a community, and not have to move because their family size increases. So within these properties, we've created a warm roof, which means that we can convert the loft much more cost effectively than normal, which means that these can be converted into a 3-bedroom should they be needed in the future. We might come on to that later. 4 beds. So we built we didn't build only 3 beds, we built 2 4-beds. And these are 120 square meters. So again, suitable for the families, suitable for multiple particular needs. All of these are lifetime home standards. They've got all of them have got ground floor wet rooms and a first floor bathroom. So very light and well sized for a modern family. So those challenges I was talking about. So the first one was about making sure they're truly affordable. So energy bills, how are we cutting down energy bills? Like I said, we're reducing energy demands by making it super insulated. So it's super insulated and really airtight. So really airtight, we were talking about passive standards in the last slideshow, and we didn't meet those. They're really, really tough to meet. So we didn't even, we tried to get there, but we couldn't. So the minimum building standards, building regulations state that you have to have a quantity of 10, let's say call it air changes an hour for a property. To get good practice is 5. To get passive standards, it's 0.6. We managed to get below 2 on these ones. So that's just to put it in context. So air quality is really important. So if you start getting to below those standards, you have to be putting in mechanical ventilation and to keep that airflow going, because otherwise you end up with pollutants in and a poor environment internally. And that is part of our heating system. So our heating system is actually taking the air from hotter areas, recycling that and putting it into other areas. On this scheme, we've got no radiators. We've got a blown air heating system that recycles that warm air. and it's using an air source heat pump solution. So it's using an air-to-air solution. So some of the air source heat pumps you've previously seen have probably had radiators or underfloor heating where it's gone from air to water. So it's converting energy from air into water that then circulates around. So this is air-to-air. So highly efficient, about 300% efficient, whereas a gas boiler is about 90% efficient. So brilliant scheme, brilliant. Although there's a bit of a lag. So there's a bit of a lag in the heating of this. So you can't switch on and off like a gas boiler. I try and use the analogy of a freezer or a fridge freezer that you have at your home. You don't switch it off when you need it and switch it back on, switch it off and on all the time. You keep it on all the time. And it's similar to that in that concept. You want to keep that constant heat or not. Although we do have a programmer that allows you to change the heating when you need it. So what else do we have? We've reduced the energy bills, energy demands. We've got a very energy efficient heating system in there. And now we've got putting in solar panels. So the solar panels are there to generate energy, and we're generating between 3.1 kilowatt hours to 7.4 kilowatt hours, depending on how big your house is. And the clever bit is that the energy that comes in from the sun then goes into the house. Now that energy gets used in several ways, and I'll come on to that. And that's the really clever bit about it. We've got a Tesla battery, the same the batteries that are still used in the cars, and that's a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery. Now, to put that into context, that's like the same amount of energy that's like leaving a 40-watt bulb on for 2 weeks. So that gives you the amount of energy that's actually stored in that battery. So that battery supports the residents when the sun isn't shining. I was on the screen. I've got a bit of a graph there for you, and that basically shows the energy that we have across the whole of a year. So in January, February, and November, December, you've got higher energy because you've got higher heating bills. You've got the lights on for longer. You're using more energy in the building. So during those periods, you can see the areas in grey. Now, those areas in grey show that they're the amounts of energy that we need to still import from the grid, from whoever your energy provider is. So at those points in the year, we aren't going to be generating all the electricity we need from the solar panels because we haven't got enough sunlight as well coming through. As you can see, if you look at the green area, you can see that the amount of sunlight that we're creating for going forward in March going forward is actually a lot greater. So that actually we're getting more electricity than is actually, we've got more energy than we can actually use in the house. So that green area is a surplus energy that we currently can use, and we can export that to the grid, or we can put it into our battery. And then the blue area is the area that on that graph shows the amount of energy that is being used, which is free energy from the sun or from the batteries that the house is using. So it gives you an idea of over a whole year, we should be energy neutral. So you should be using, generating as much energy as you're using. They're easy to use. So the properties are really easy to use. It's really important that we do that. We provided busy user manuals, how to use guides, video guides, all on our website. The control panels that we used are really simple, and they're adjustable for the residents' demands. We'll come on to that later. And the technology that we put in has made sure that we can remotely monitor, so that our maintenance teams can actually check to see whether things are working as they should remotely, so that they don't have to wait on a call from a resident. So it means that the heating systems and everything should be, we can keep an eye on them without the calls coming through and then having to be an emergency to get that fixed. So that's I think that's a great system that we've got there. And then during the design and construction phases, we made sure that we engaged with our maintenance teams and made sure they knew and learned as we went how these were built, especially the heating systems. So this is actually the same graph that I showed you earlier, although this shows it for a day. So this was taken from Tuesday from one of the properties, and this shows over an entire 24-hour period the energy use of this system. And we've got this remotely that we can use, and every single resident has got access to this and see what energy they're generating. What we've done is we put an iPad on the wall of every property, and then they can use an app, which is created by Tesla, which shows you how much energy you're using or generating in real time. And you can look back in history and see what you've been doing. So running through this, you can see a dark green area running from 12 o'clock at night until about 6 o'clock in the morning. That's just your base energy, your fridge freezers that are on, your things that are just ticking over in the background, the heating system just ticking over in the background. Then obviously people start using electricity over the course of the day, and it's randomly, so you can see the spikes throughout the day as people use electricity. On the bottom of the graph, you can see a more grey, a darker shade of green, which shows the energy that's being created by the sun, but can't be used by the house. So it's going into, it's being stored by the battery. So all that energy is being stored by the battery. And by about 12:30, we've actually filled that battery. So then what happens is that turns to a grey. You can see that grey that runs right through until about 7 o'clock at night. That's energy that's being exported from the house directly into the grid. And at the moment, we haven't got that set up, but we will have a import tariff, which means that the residents will benefit from that energy being pulled back into, taken out to the property. And their tariffs are really important, making sure that we've got a right tariff for the residents going forward so that they can benefit from that. So the next steps. We started in 2019, we completed in January 2021, so we're three or 4 months into this now. We're continuing to monitor these over the next year at least to see how they're performing, talking to residents as we will in a minute. Yeah, we have the technology, we have the capabilities of doing this. It's just what we do in the future and how we fund it without the IHP funding that we had before. I suppose that's the only query. So my total build cost for this scheme, we're very open with what we've got here. It's 3.4 million for 14 properties. It was £2,900 a square metre. Usually we build things for around £1,800 to £2,000 a square metre. The total cost for innovation for the properties roughly was about £60,000 to £70,000 a property. So just to put that, I don't care about money, but sometimes you have to worry about money. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. The important thing is, they're very energy efficient. These are the EPC ratings that we've got for these schemes. What does it mean for the resident? It doesn't matter. We've recently been shortlisted for a Inside Housing Award, which is great, a national award. But awards don't matter. What matters is the residents. And at this point, I think I need to pass over to Mr. and Mrs. Morris, who are going to stream hopefully from. I will stop sharing. And I don't know how to stop sharing. There we go. And we've got Mr. and Mrs. Morris, who are streaming live from their kitchen in one of these, just to kind of, if you want to say hello, guys, I think there might be some questions. So we've kind of, if we want to set up a bit of a Q&A with them about how they're finding it, I can run a little bit of that. But hi guys, we've spoke earlier this morning. How are you doing?
Hi Bo, thanks for joining us today. Thank you.
Hello.
So I suppose I might just lead on a few questions. Like, how are you finding the property? How are you finding living there?
Really good.
It's
really,
amazing.
really good. Yeah, love it. It's exactly what we wanted. We wasn't even expecting a wet room or a utility room, was we?
We're really happy. I'm just going to go grab our son quickly.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you.
Told you. Yeah, it's really good property. It's because I suffer with physical movements sometimes, but I can get my wheelchair through the hallways because they're quite wide. It's really movable for me as well, and it's also good for the little one. It's
definitely warm enough.
It's definitely warm enough, so we don't
warm
suffer with heating.
houses.
Yeah, so it's really good. We enjoy it here, don't we?
Yeah.
So what is it like in comparison to your previous property, guys?
Well, our other property was, oh, 1 second, sorry. our other property was not suitable for the baby, not suitable for any of us to live in. And without this house, we would probably still be there. We had issues with our landlord, and we had sewage coming up into our living room for a manhole. So we couldn't get in and out of our house. You know, it was like living in hell, to be honest. And I think when you physically and financially cannot move, because it's really difficult to get onto the property ladder or to even privately rent because of the amount of money you've got to come up with. And even if you've got that money, they can say, no, we don't want you, we want somebody else. So without this house, we would probably still be there, you know, and we weren't happy there. It was having an impact on my husband's health. He couldn't get around the house because of his disability. And the baby, we wouldn't let him crawl on the floor because we were worried about the cleanliness because of what was happening in the property. So it's been amazing. We're thriving here.
Oh, that is so good to hear. That is so good to hear. I'm sure we'll have some questions. If anybody's got any questions, if you could put them in the chat. But I was just wondering, actually, how have you found the technology? Because for me, seeing the, you know, these graphs and things, you know, I would struggle to read those. So how have you guys found that?
It's really easy. We thought we were given all these booklets and things, and we thought it's going to be really difficult, but it's not. You just go on, and we change ours to summer mode because the houses are really warm. So we put ours on summer mode, and as soon as we do that, the ventilation slows down and it's nice and cool. So it's just as simple as clicking a button. It is really easy.
So does it, because I think a lot of people, we hear often people talking about the ventilation, and because these houses are so hot, is it too much, you know, is there not enough ventilation in the house, or does it just feel okay?
It's quick. It's a quick fix. So we have had it when it's a bit chillier, usually in the evenings. We put it on winter mode for an hour, and then we're like, oh, it's a bit warm. So we do open our bedroom window but it works. It keeps the baby's room warm at the back, and then we can have our room in our temperature, because obviously he needs a different temperature to us. But it's really simple. I don't even think we've read any booklets. I think we just gone on with it, and because it was that easy, you just literally press a button on the screen. It tells you how hot the house is. It's really good, really easy. Recommend it.
Well, we are recommending it, but it's obviously, hopefully we'll get some more of them built. Has anybody else got any questions?
I'm just picking up a couple from the chat. So George, thanks for the question about rainwater capture. I think water efficiency is really important. We haven't done any kind of rainwater capture in these at the moment, and there's some technical issues around kind of using what's classified as grey water. So or rainwater harvesting. We have it has been done in the past, but there has been some technical issues. I think because of this being more focused around carbon, we were very much focused around that element rather than the water efficiency. But I think it is something that is going to become more and more pressing as we start to get this the low carbon solutions more effectively resolved. There was also a question around the batteries as well. So Yvonne, thanks for the question. The batteries last a lifetime. So I think there's the batteries are getting better and better. So you can get more and more storage into these batteries, and we are expecting them to last. I think the batteries cost us about £6,000 to £7,000 each to put in. And I think they've got a lifespan of about 20 odd years. I'll need to check, but I think they're about 20 odd years. I think they the battery life just depreciates slowly. So the amount of energy it can actually store depreciates over time. So I think over a period of time we will have to replace them. I think it's approximately 15 to 20 years, I think is ringing bells, but I think it's roughly around that. But they are getting better and better as each year. So
one final question from Amanda: is the rent comparable to other similar sized properties?
Yeah, so Wales and West do a living rent, across all of our schemes in Wales. And yes, the rent is the same for a 2-bed that Mr. and Mrs. Morris are living in comparison to down the road where there's a 1960s, 1970s 2-bed property here.
And energy, they're saving them on them bills as well as that. So
there's been no, we haven't changed the rents or anything to suit the efficiencies that have been put in there. So all of our costs and all of our all the costs to build these have been factored into that. One of the how we can build this going forward and do this on a mass scale is a question, and I don't think what we're trying to do is make them affordable. To increase rents, to then to take money out of what people were otherwise spending on energy bills to then put it into rents, kind of defeats the project in some regards. So I think we need to. There's lots of discussion around that in the industry at the moment.
And can I just ask one final question? Sorry, it's just really interested me about when you were talking about putting the energy back into the grid. Would that then be similar to how it is now when you've overpaid for your electric or gas in the January, February, March? You overpay, and then it makes it up for the summertime, for the winter time. Sorry. So is it the same thing? So does that energy just go back into a little pot and then they can access it?
So it will depend on how each resident is up to. It's up to them what tariffs they go to and which providers they use and how they want to pay their bills. So we're not going to dictate that. So it really does depend on what tariffs and what providers you go with. I did try and ask Mr. and Mrs. Morris whether there's a bill that we had at the moment. We haven't had one yet, which I think they're happy about. But yeah. Not that it's been free, but they haven't yet had the bill, so we can't show you anything at the moment. But
well, we're going to bring you back next year, you two, to tell us how much your bill was, because we're really interested.
Okay.
That's fine.
Hopefully it won't be too much because we're on summer mode.
All the time, yeah.
Fix them up anyway tomorrow.
Oh, well, I'm really glad that you guys got that property. It's really interesting. Obviously, we're hoping to do this type of decarb week every year, so we'd be really interested to have you back again next year. So thank you so much for that. Please, if you want to stay along, we've got another presentation. Please join us and join us for the Q&A at the end. I'm going to have to move on because we're running over time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Grant. Really appreciate that. So now I would like to introduce you to our final speaker, last but definitely not least, Carwyn Davies. Carwyn established HASA in 2007. And having previously been the founding director of Davies Richards, a residential development company, HASA was set up to undertake strategic regeneration projects with more of a focus on the commercial and industrial sectors rather than just residential developments. HASA's most recent project is the biophilic living development on Oxford Street in Swansea. Biophilic living means rethinking how humans living in an urban environment can keep and improve their relationships with nature. It's a really exciting project, and Carwyn will be discussing how the scheme explores ways of enabling the connection to happen by incorporating nature into space and creating natural analogues and considering the nature of the spaces provided. And for residents, this will mean more conscious understanding of concepts of the concept dwelling, use the alternative energy sources and incorporate smart devices to monitor and understand their consumption levels. Carwyn, would you like to come in if we'll pull up your slides now? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, well, thanks very much for the invite. Diolch yn fawr am y gwahoddiad. Yeah, so we were going to start with a short video, and I believe David's going to run that for me, if we can use that as a little teaser, hopefully.
Sorry, I am just trying to get it back up now. I've got your slides ready, but I'm just trying to get the... 2 seconds. Should I just...
Okay, well, I'll just give a quick intro. The scheme is in the middle of Swansea. It's very much a regeneration project. It's a mix of uses of retail, commercial and residential. We've been working with Swansea University on developing concepts where we believe it can add value to our towns and city centres, and that revolves around how we integrate green infrastructure and new ways of living and community and creation of community. And I've always said, if I had to encapsulate this project, it would be about the creation of community. And I think that's something that we often sort of underplay and underrate, in the sense that creation of good community has so many benefits to health, well-being, etc. There's obviously a significant portion of this project is dedicated to decarbonisation, and through the sort of purposing of this concept, we've I'll be quiet for a moment then, David.
No, keep going. I've just got it ready now. That's all.
Okay. So what we're trying to do is create community, create a reason. Why do we need to live in our towns and cities? We all know the issues towns and cities face, in the fact that retail is collapsing, and that we need to reconsider and repurpose the use of our cities. And residential has been suggested as being that solution. I don't think it's quite as simple as that, and I think it needs to be a more live, work, leisure kind of outlook. However, we have to create reasons for people who want to come and live in our cities, and the reasons so very much this concept began with decarbonisation at its heart. But how do we create community and a reason to come and live in Swansea city centre? And I think communities, we all know the benefits of having good, close-knit communities are that they increase wellness, they reduce crime, they benefit everybody within that environment, and that is really the way I think we've got to view our urban environment moving forward. The decarbonisation, it goes without saying. It was great to hear on the news this morning promises coming from various worldwide governments across the world, stating aspirations to reduce carbon by a significant, I think the UK came out yesterday and said 75% by 2035, which is great. I think that was from the 1990 base. So we've probably moved. So in reality, it's not from here, it's from 1990. But however, it's an aspiration that's got to be applauded. As we go through this project, you'll see the innovations where we've incorporated gardens, growing space, all with the aim of carbon absorption and creating community, and how it's great to see Welsh Government. I know they have an aspiration to become a leader in the development of green infrastructure, and I think that's really heartening. And I think their IHP programme, and I know Grant and Adrian mentioned it earlier, the IHP programme is really a very positive step in that direction. I would urge them to please don't get rid of it. We need more of it. I think we need. I think it gives Wales a real leading edge, and I think it's to be encouraged. So all of you, please write the Welsh Government and tell them not to do away with IHP. It's a great programme, and they are to be applauded for it. I will now be quiet and let you just absorb the sort of context of the video. I can't quite hear it. Thank you, David. That's great. So just frames, I think, how we see changing the urban environment, the greening being at its heart, decarbonisation being at its heart, and but it's also we create places. We have to create places with a purpose, with a reason, and get. It's all in the end. It all comes down to people and how they occupy and how they become involved in to create places. Okay, so it's critical. Community is at the heart of this project, and it also has an element of education, which is important that we educate as well as provide these schemes. So it's a process of education as well as experience. So if we'll start on the first page, okay. So
just need to make it a slideshow. Thanks.
okay, so the project is called Biophilic Living Swansea, or Abertawe Bywyd Biophilic, and it's in the heart of Swansea, and it's a part of the ambitious plans to regenerate the city, and we're really proud to be a part of that process. So if we move on. Obviously, we all know the situation, the global climate emergency, the growth in populations, and the last year, obviously, the global pandemic, how that has changed, and probably changed, hopefully, long-term outlook. I do think it's probably made people sit up and realise that the climate change is an emergency and needs to be dealt with, and I hope that's probably, there's not many positives one can take out of it, but I think that's a positive. I think it has sort of focused people's minds on we've got to do something to save this planet. So if we can move on. So the various issues there, I won't dwell too much on these topics because I've got quite a bit to say. So if and obviously we all know what the issues are with the global climate change. It's global warming, pressure to land, population. There's so many issues that need dealing with, and we need to really begin now if we're gonna make an effort to decarbonize and meet the challenges we face. Okay, we all know the global responses, national and local responses. Welsh Government are forging ahead. Again, I mentioned the IHP programme, Innovative Housing Programme, much to commend it. We've obviously got, the UN, we've got national government, we've got strategies. So there's a lot of legal frameworks and parameters there that people are trying to establish. So we move towards a greener environment. We've got obviously COP coming up in October, which is hence the reason we're hearing so much being spoken about the carbon reduction targets, etc. So that's really should be one of the seminal kind of meetings, I would hope. Paris happened in 2016, so I'm hoping that Glasgow will be the next reference for the considerable change we need. You can see the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They're numerous. I could read them all out to you, but I'm happy to share this document with anybody who's interested. It's about obviously to remove poverty, remove hunger, create good health and well-being, quality education. We need they're numerous. Okay, so I'll rather than specifically go through each, I'm happy to share this document with those who are really interested. Now, Welsh Government are often vilified on a number of fronts, being politicians, and politics are often the first to get sort of anger from the public. But I've got to stand up and say that some of the moves that the Welsh Government have made in the last 5 to 10 years really are progressive. And the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act 2015 has really framed a way of being. It's unique. It doesn't exist in any of the other UK countries, and it really does frame targets of what we should be aiming for. And if I can just remove this first so I can actually see what it says. So the ambitions are a prosperous Wales, a resilient Wales, a healthier Wales, a more equal Wales, a Wales of cohesive communities, a Wales of vibrant culture and thriving Welsh language, and a globally responsible Wales. And I think it really does, I can't speak highly enough of this act. It frames what we need to do. And when we applied for innovative housing, we used this as the template for the application. And the whole project has been sort of based around these aspirations. And I think it's something that I think we'll see more and more countries adopt as time goes on, as it does create a template for the future. Okay, so I mentioned IHP, and I've mentioned it a few times. Innovative Housing Programme. The purpose was obviously to become globally responsible, to create prosperity, resilience, health, equality, and community. So the IHP's objectives very much were aligned with the Wellness of Future Generations Act, and all the applications would have been scored against that basis and template. And we're very sort of proud to say that we scored quite highly on most of these topics for our project. And again, without IHP, we would not have been able to develop the level of innovation on this project. And so therefore, a big thanks to Welsh Government again for establishing this programme, which again, like I said earlier, I hope they continue in whatever format, but it needs to continue because I think it really does give us an edge. Okay. Okay, regeneration, a passion of mine and something that's really sort of become, in the last 5 to 10 years, far more of a topic. We've seen the collapse of retail, which probably is not going to improve anytime soon. We've got to repurpose our cities and towns. If you look at the model, the model in front of you here, it was done by Professor Herbert Girardet, who's done a lot of great work on regeneration of cities. And I do like this diagram because it does describe perfectly what we were, what we are, and what we need to be. So if you look at the Agropolis, the former cities and towns where we lived within those confines, the food and all the energy came from within a certain distance of the town and the city centre, then also the waste from those processes would have gone back to that land to create this more holistic kind of way of living. So that the waste streams are really more reutilised in a better way than we do today. Unfortunately, today we are at Petropolis, which is not a great place to be. It involves importation, a lot of movement, transportation, of all manner of labour, of food. It truly does suck the resources from the world without really putting anything back. Okay, so obviously we've come to the conclusion, hopefully not too late, that we need to recreate this model. And the way we recreate is through the Ecopolis model, okay, which is therefore based on creating more regeneration. We've begun on that journey. Wales, I believe, is one of the world leaders in recycling, which is heartening. So the technologies that we get from wind, from solar, etc., is incorporating systems whereby we recirculate them rather than just simply dump them and deposit them for somebody else to deal with. I mean, there are issues we're going to have to sort of address on transportation, planes and what have you. So these are significant challenges, and one hopes that those sectors, and they do believe to be, it does appear that they are taking it seriously, are going to look into transportation. To my mind, is probably the biggest challenge we face. Because there's a lot of technologies there for homes and heating, and I think we need to step it up. But I think transportation is probably the challenge that sort of perplexes me more than most. So if we go to the next slide, it then shows how cities are now. So to the left, you'll see that we've got resource coming in from the left, food, energy, goods coming into the city, and the outputs seemingly leave. Okay, so that's pretty much the model we have at present. So we have organic waste going to landfill, sea dumping, etc. We've got the emissions, we've got inorganic waste to landfill, etc. Okay, so this can go a long way away from the source of generation, and it creates significant issues. We have begun addressing it, but we've got a long way to go. The perfect scenario is the one on to the right of the image to the right, which shows these energy sources, these renewable energy sources coming in, food coming in, goods coming in, which are then recirculated and reutilized. Okay, there's many technologies. I'm particularly interested at present in the field of biodigestion and anaerobic digestion. I think that's got a big role to play, and I think we need to probably investigate that on a far higher level. So what it does, by reutilizing it, removes the amount we put into landfill, the amount of pollution, etc. Okay, it is possible. There's technologies out there which have been used in certain contexts that we don't always appreciate, can be used for human context on a more human scale and level. So there's still movement of waste to outside of those environments. So that needs to be further worked upon, but that has to be the aspiration. We've got to remove this constant sort of throughput of in, out, and somebody else's problem. I've spoken a lot about that, I know. So, okay, so next one. Okay, and this is Biophilic Swansea. This is the scheme. As you can see, it involves a roof garden and roofscape with 50 residential apartments. And Mick, we're working very closely with Pobol, Wales' largest social housing provider, in providing homes, affordable homes and shared ownership homes. So obviously the ambition is to get people into the scheme who have an interest in this kind of way of living in this sort of context. You can see to the rear there's a large 13-story tower. The building also shares use with commercial floor space, which is office use. So there's 40,000 square feet of office, and that sort of balance will come more evident and clear as the presentation moves on. We've got a small amount of retail on the ground floor, and then to the rear of the tower we've got an exhibition and education space, which I think is really important in that and so where we can display how this building works. We've got carbon. There will be a lot of display systems showing the energy use of the building as a whole. We'll also integrate in a aquaponics system, which is probably a first into a residential scheme. Aquaponics, obviously where we grow fish, which then are used to feed the nutrients, to provide the nutrients for growing plants and food stuffs in the glass houses. Okay, so that's very much a new innovative way of being. There's obviously we're going to be growing foodstuffs, crops, but importantly, this isn't just for us. So Swansea University, who are our partner on this element, obviously it's not just for us to do that. The ambition is that we create, this is the reason this community will be created. So there's the opportunity here for people to become involved, and actually they will be completely encouraged to become involved in the running and management of this structure and organization. We've devised a management vehicle which we think and hope will attract those residents to join, to become part of this community, so they eventually become the sole custodians of what you see here. Okay, so they can produce their own food, they can provide food boxes, they can sell the food. It'll be something that the CIC itself, a community interest company that we're establishing, will be able to make that decision on. So we're involved as the developer for the first 3 to 5 years, as our Swansea University. We want this to succeed, so therefore we're there to pretty much hold people's hands and to make sure that the concept works effectively and efficiently. Obviously, if this works effectively and efficiently here, we believe this will be the template for a lot more schemes that we hope to get involved in. So I'll go slowly through now the drawings. You'll see more elevations. Sorry, David, could you go back just for a moment? I forgot to mention that the main square, so you've got the tower to the rear, but below the sort of roofscape, that is an existing building, okay? That's an existing building, and any of you that know Swansea will probably, if you're as old as I am, you'll remember Woolworths on Oxford Street. Subsequently was let to Poundland. Poundland are vacating, and we're turning that building. So instead of demolition, which again, the embedded carbon involved in demolition, you know, we should be looking to reutilize buildings and spaces wherever possible we can. It saves carbon, and it's an effective use of an asset that doesn't need demolition. We all too readily, I think, sometimes rush to demolition. Sometimes it's the only necessary outcome. But I feel in this instance, we've got a large footprint of a building, which is about 50,000 square feet, which is a significant building, and on which we're building on the roof the residential. The new build tower to the rear is also joined. So it creates this kind of multi-use, multi-purpose building, and you will see then a yard, and again, I'll go on to that in a minute. You'll see a yard to the rear next to the tower, which is very much, again, meant to be a public space. The feeling of creating space, place, and purpose, again, that's very much at its heart. So you can see the greens, the green walls, all the green infrastructure that we've put there. This building, the water systems, there's green roofs, there's blue roofs, there's huge water storage potential. So what we put into any drainage system is really going to be minimized, and it does achieve, you know, incredible ratings on the drainage systems and outputs or what have you. So that, again, very much an important part of this project.
Colin, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just really conscious of time. We've got to have a little Q&A before the end of the session, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to. Okay,
I'll quickly move on. So if we move on. Okay, so creation of a sustainable community. I want obviously that I'll move on from there. These are our partners. So we're working on the residential element with Pobl. So Pobl and ourselves are delivering the residential, and obviously we then own the office and the commercial and the retail space. A number of other big partners we got involved. The local authority, who have been great in working with us, Welsh Government. We've got Cardiff Met, we've got Swansea University, and a number of other bodies and organisations. The buy-in has been incredible, and we work with some really, really forward-thinking people on this project. Okay. So building-wise, if you know Swansea at all, you'll see the market as the big shiny roof. If you can see that just to the right of the circle of red dots. Okay, so that gives you some kind of bearing. Our building then, so if you carry on to the next screen, our building is literally probably about 100 yards away from there. If you've ever been to Swansea Market, if you're like me, it's one of the must visits whenever you come to Swansea. So yeah, moving on. You can see the roofscapes. There's a lot of green. There's a lot of roofs in Swansea, flat roofs. So there is the potential to roll more and more greenery. Obviously, there's issues involved. We are working on a potential other scheme, which we're hoping to replicate this kind of model on. But subject to ownerships, there's the potential to look at using our flat roof spaces for more schemes. And instead of just, they're there already. Let's look at utilising them. Okay. Okay, yeah, again, that's another angle of the rooftops. So moving on. There we are. So there's the building. You might recognise it if you've been to Poundland, or if you've been to Swansea or know Swansea well. Located in the heart of the regeneration scheme. There's also nearby, there's the local authority who we work closely with are developing a large tech hub. So working closely with them. So we're hoping to create the outcome when both projects are finished will be a great place, a place which people hopefully will enjoy being in, and obviously where community is strengthened. Okay, that's the regional framework plan showing our building in relation to it. Okay, and there you can see the building in outline there. If we move on. So you can see where the new tower gets built and its context and relationship to the digital village, which is the one I mentioned being built and developed by the City and County of Swansea. So again, working closely with them to develop this. Collaboration is a big thing on this project. We've worked fantastically with our partners, Pobl, the local authority, Welsh Government. So it's if there's a will to do stuff together, then nobody can be stopped, and that's something that's really been heartening in this project, is the desire to get collaboration working positively. Okay, there's the proposal for the Kingsway project by the local authority. Again, an element of greening, which we're really happy with, and which then blends and ties in with the overall concept we're creating. As you can see there, that's a sectional. So they got roof yards, roof terraces, and green walls, and what have you.
Carwyn,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you again. These are absolutely wonderful. I'm just wondering if we could share these slides with the delegates afterwards so that they can have a go through them, just so we get an opportunity to ask questions. I'm aware Adrian's got to leave in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, there's the existing building. So that's a cross section of the existing building. Yeah, you can see the scale and the mass of what we're doing. This is a 3D model of it. So you can see there's going to be some exceptional views from there. You'll see the large glass house that runs up from behind the core. That's 4 floors of glass housing. There's integrated solar PVs to that glass housing, given it faces south. There'll be the potential, again, the aquaponics system will provide the irrigation and the nutrient system for growing plants. Obviously, we're looking at higher quality plants to be grown in there. So again, huge involvement for occupants in getting involved in this as a community project.
Thank you so much. That is an absolutely incredible project, something that I've had a look at a few times, and I'm really excited about it. I think there's so many benefits for, like, you know, and just so much innovation as well. So thank you so much, Carwyn, for that. I just want to put the questions out there to the panel. We have had a couple of questions in already from Amanda, who's asking if you can utilize the office space, do you have plans to increase the housing aspect? Yeah, I think this is a big question, actually, isn't it?
Pretty much. Okay, it's a mixed use scheme, and the mixed use nature is a part of the concept. So it's really important now we get this mix of uses. So we've got the residential, we've got the commercial. One point which I've forgotten to mention, it's my most favoured part of the project, is the fact that carbon from the office users is being extracted and fed into the glass houses. So we all know the benefits. Plants absorb carbon, create oxygen. Okay, so that's one of the big selling points, that this system will take out carbon-laden air from the office users. We all apparently, in a sedentary position daily, exhale about 2.2 kilograms each. So obviously there's a potential there to reutilize and create, freshen the air, but also recreate and use within that space.
Incredible.
Like a pair of lungs almost.
Yeah, it's fantastic. No denying your passion there, Carwyn. I think we've got a really fantastic question here from Yvonne, and I want to put it to everyone really, so I'll come round to all 3 of you. What is the most important thing that we can all do that will make a difference now? If we could start with Adrian, because I know he's got to get off in a second.
Work together, no doubt about it. I think if we all believe in the end outcome here, which I believe we all do, I think Carwyn's touched on it a lot in his presentation. We certainly have done a lot of this with tenants, with stakeholders in Cartrefi Conway. It's definitely working alongside each other to get to the end goal. No silo mentality. There's bringing the industry in and it's bringing tenants on this journey with us from right at the outset, and together I think we can create some amazing housing for tenants here in Wales.
Fantastic. Thanks, Adrian. And Grant?
I'd just say that the technology's out there, everything's out there already. It's ready to be used. I think it's just, like Adrian said, collaborating, make sure you can find, do it together, make sure that it works together, and just think about things very carefully at an early stage before, so that you're absolutely clear on what you want to go for and what your aspects and targets are. And yeah, the systems out there and technologies out there that can produce zero carbon, can do some amazing things already. So it's not rocket science.
Thank you, Grant. And Carwyn?
Okay, go local. That's the first step you need to do. Okay, we need to go local. We need to reduce our movement. We need to reduce our reliance. We need to have more faith and value in our local communities. We need to travel local. We need to reduce our carbon footprints from traveling. The communities there are communities which need strengthening, and we buy food local, labour local. If we can do that, that will have a significant impact, and it's quite easy because I think we often underestimate ourselves. I've researched Swansea over the last few years, looking into Swansea, and the fact of it is, there's so many skills in Wales. We underestimate the skill sets, and if we've got a policy, company policy, which is stay local. If the skills are here local, we use local skills, okay? And that's the only way we're going to create a better economy, is because if somebody comes, they have to come to us if they want our knowledge. Instead of us going to London and bringing them in, we're working with local architects, local engineers, so they will be the people with the expertise.
That's a really, really great point. And one that we hear often, especially amongst our team, David Wilton. So if we haven't got any more questions, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming here today, but especially to our panelists. Everything that you've brought with you has just been extraordinary and really gives us all something to take away and think about. So yeah, thank you so much. And sorry about the tech issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
bye,
you so much.
bye.